could murder someone without intent and without remembering? This is the tragic case of the sleepwalking killer.
We've got a code 187.
Welcome to another episode of Code 187. I am Joe, here joined with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And we are here bringing you another case. And as you can tell from that intro, this was it sounds like a really good case. Sleepwalker murders.
Mm-hmm.
See, lately, so what happens is when we do like all this audio and stuff, I'll get the audio and then I will, name it certain stuff. So like last week she gave me the Icebox Murders. I was like, ooh. And now we've got the Sleepwalker Murders. I'm like, ooh. So, god dang it. So these are really good titles here. I don't have to do too much work with them, So, good Lord. So, it's possible for us to murder people while we're sleepwalking. Well, according to this case.
Well, we are going to find out. And this would make a good movie. I see it in theaters, dun dun dun, Sleepwalking Killer. I don't know.
I'll have to pitch that to the owner of Gateway Pro Productions.
Yep. To get on that.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is a good one. This one, I say that about every single episode.
Yeah, I don't
but
expect anything
there's
less.
just somewhere I'm like, I spent so much time researching this. I'm just wanting to gift it to everyone.
Listen, okay. So there's got to be a lot of research on something like this because it had to be kind of like a really long case, I bet you, because it's like the person doesn't know what's going on, the cops probably don't know what's going on, so I bet you this is a really long case, maybe. So I don't know. I'm gonna stop guessing because most of the time I'm wrong. So Sarah, give us the facts.
All right. So we're going to start out on January 17th, 1997. So there's this man in Phoenix. His name is Greg, and he was getting ready for bed, and he heard weird noises outside.
Mm-hmm.
And he heard screams coming from his next door neighbor's house. And so he, like I would as a nosy neighbor, went outside and looked over the fence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what he saw was his neighbor, Scott Falater, repeatedly stabbing his wife.
Good Lord.
Yeah, her name was Yarmila, and they were in the backyard. And he saw Scott just repeatedly stab her and then go inside to change clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure that Greg was super confused.
Yes.
And not really knowing, this is late at night, what he's seeing. So he kept watching.
Yep.
And Scott tried to quiet his dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then rolled Yarmila into the swimming pool and held her head underwater.
Yep.
So then he sealed his knife and his bloody clothes in a Tupperware container and put it in the wheel well of his Volvo,
Yep. Volvo.
Whatever that car is.
Yeah.
Volvo, yeah, whatever that is. So Greg kept watching this whole encounter. I'm sure he already called 911.
Okay.
Because his wife was there as well.
Okay.
But he saw everything.
Okay.
So he's a good witness for this case.
Mm-hmm.
The police came, took Scott away in handcuffs. They took him in for questioning, and he told them he remembers none of it.
Mm-hmm.
He also told him that his marriage was loving and happy, and he would never murder his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how we're starting off.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts?
So, I, my wife, and my son sleepwalk. So, I've had some sleepwalking incidents where when what is it? I'm walking, I remember what's going on, you know, but to me, it's a dream, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure it out. I was like, did he not see? But you know, I know other people don't remember and stuff like that. But don't your dreams and don't your dreams are like, I thought they kind of manifest from like daily life, you know, what you're thinking and things like that, you know, unless he was watching too much true crime, you know.
Which could have been. He was listening to our show too much.
Yeah, he's listening to our show, and wow, are we time travelers?
Yeah.
But he was listening to our show too much, and then he just had his subconscious just went. And there must have been something going on with his wife, like, you know, like you can have a good marriage, but then you had like a argument or something, and you say you let it go, but it's really really deep down inside, and then your subconscious just, you know, I don't know.
Right. So I as well sleepwalk.
Hmm.
My daughter has horrible night terrors.
My son does too.
Yes, and it's like looking at her, it's not her when
Yes.
she's having it, and she doesn't remember anything in the
Hmm.
morning,
Yep.
and she's screaming and hitting me, and I'm like, this is not my child at all
Yes.
during the daytime.
For people who have not witnessed something like this, it's crazy. Like my son's eyes will be completely open, but they're kind of just like glazed over. So you know he's not awake, but he's looking at you, moving his eyes around, and he's just, you know, because it's like, I don't want to say his eyes are turned off, but it's, you know, that's all he's seeing is what's in his brain, and then he flips out. So
Right, and
it's a
it's
crazy
like she
thing.
sees things too.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So I can understand where, um, what was his name? Because I'm
Scott.
Scott. Yeah, I was gonna call him Rob for some reason, but I can understand where Scott's how it happened. That's just something terrible, though.
But
Oh,
you said you sleptwalk. Do you think you would be capable of murder as you sleptwalk?
yeah, because
Oh
okay,
no, your wife
okay,
needs to listen to this.
no. The reason why I think it was because I was you were doing I was okay. All right. My
I shouldn't have asked that question.
my sleepwalking story was I almost peed in my closet and my
A
dad
lot of
stopped
people
me.
do that.
Yeah. Um, for those of you on the video, we were talking about a man named Scott who murdered his wife, but he was do we know or do we think he was sleepwalking?
Well, according to Scott, he doesn't remember.
Yes, he does remember. And Scott's neighbor Greg was watching it over his picket fence. So,
Why do we get so many Boy Meets World references?
yeah,
Because all I could think was like George Feeney. Or
yes.
wait, no, that
No,
was Home
Home Improvement.
Improvement.
Yes. Literally, when you said Greg was looking over his fence, that's all I could think about was his neighbor just sitting there. How you doing,
Yeah.
bro? So, yeah, we're '90s babies. So we're '90s babies, and we love our shows. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's all I thought about too. And I was gonna get on. I was thinking about Greg, and I was like, um, I'm glad you said that you think his wife called the police because I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Are you just sitting there watching it the whole time, not calling the police? I know it was the '70s and the phone was on the wall, but
Well, it was the
jeez.
90s.
Oh, '90s. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
96.
yeah. Okay, so it was on. It was still the phone was still on the wall. I still understand that, but I would have done something. Okay, if you see somebody getting married, because we or not married,
We are a mess. today.
Yes.
Just excuse us.
Yes. If you see somebody getting murdered, wouldn't you try to do something?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also know that what if they're making a movie? Like, what if it's not real? And I mean, it's at night, right? I'm not saying that was the most judgy eyes I've ever seen from you. But I'm just saying, like, if you're making a movie at night and your neighbor sees that, I mean, go ahead, call the cops. I'm not saying don't. They just show up and it's a movie, but
Okay. I'm not saying that that's wrong.
you are.
But okay, so movies they'll have lights, certain lights and things like that, and cameras and stuff like that. So you know what? Maybe they were practicing for a play.
There we go.
Yes, that's what we'll say. So I can understand that, but she was being stabbed, and then she got rolled off into the swimming pool. Like, okay, stab, I can understand. You don't want to get stabbed. But then you see him push her into a swimming pool. That's when Greg should have hopped over the fence and figured out something.
That's true. That's very true. But then also, like, he could have been a victim as well. We could have been talking about his neighbor too.
Yeah. Mm, I don't know. Okay. So we got a little bit of facts. We got a little bit of facts about this case. What else? So we can see what's up with Scott.
All right. So we're going to talk first about their marriage, Scott and Yarmila.
Okay.
So just to kind of get a background to see if this is true.
Okay.
So Scott and Yarmila started dating in high school and wed in 1976. Scott worked at Motorola as an engineer, and Yarmila was a preschool teaching aide. They had a son and a daughter, a golden retriever, and a comfortable house in Phoenix, Arizona.
Perfect family.
Perfect family. The couple really didn't complain about each other like to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They seemed pretty normal, loving relationship. Their two kids said my parents actually really loved each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the surface seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The only conflicts between the two allegedly stemmed from the fact that he wanted more children
Mm-hmm.
and she felt he spent too much time on church activities.
Hmm.
But like these aren't huge things.
Yeah, I mean,
This isn't cheating, this isn't money issues.
the wife complaining that he's spending too much time with Jesus. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I just thought about this while you were saying all that. Schizophrenia. that's okay. So I've heard some cases where they say that there's somebody else telling them in their head to kill, right? And sometimes that feeling or that person gets so overwhelmed with those feelings that sometimes they do black out, and then stuff happens. And I've heard that in many cases where they're like, "Do you remember doing this X Y Z?" And they're like, "No, I blacked out. I don't remember doing anything." So, because that seems a little better to me, because it's like perfect marriage, perfect family, everything's going great, but he might have had some mental issues that he might not have known about, and then all of a sudden, it's the voices and like, okay, because he's a church going man.
Mm-hmm.
Back in back in time, people in church, they were like, if you're from church and you listen to this, I ain't talking about Jesus, I'm a Jesus follower too, but they say, if you got a problem, take it up with Jesus and you'll be fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to mental health, they really were like, put it in the hands of God, but don't do anything physically, right? So he might have felt bad and not got any help about his schizophrenia or something like that. So,
And males are also very hard to convince that they have mental health issues.
mm-hmm. So now you got all these things, his faith, it's hard to prove that. Now he might not be telling anybody he's got any of these voices happening. And then it just builds up, bam. And then
That's a great theory.
Yeah.
I absolutely, I think the reason they went with sleepwalking was
Yeah.
because there was some evidence he sleptwalked in the past.
Wow. See, he
So
got
I
all
think
these.
that's what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He must have been.
But who knows?
I don't know. I like my theory. I think I'm doing more better investigation than these cops.
Yeah, you need to be a defense
Yeah.
attorney. Speaking of all of that though, there
Mm-hmm.
is a amazing documentary on Netflix
Okay.
about a man with schizophrenia
Okay.
who committed a string of rapes.
Okay.
And this was like I think 80s,
Okay.
and they're trying to prove that it actually wasn't him, that it was his other personalities. And he's got all of these different personalities, and they have him on videotape going in and out. It's very good.
But what would they do? What would they do?
I You have to watch the documentary and find out. It's so good. It is so good.
What's the name of it?
I don't know the name of the guy. I'll have to text you later about it. And I'll put it below so you
Okay.
guys can watch it too.
Okay. That sounds very good. That sounds
It
very
was
interesting.
really, really good. And it talks like the psychologists are there trying to prove that he really didn't do it.
Mm-mm-mm. See, this is, I want to be on that certain team because wouldn't it be awesome if they were like, hey guys, you guys are famous enough. We need you to come look at this case. And you know what? Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get right back to this case, but let's take a little bit of a break. If my music will play, yeah. We'll be right back right after this ad. Yeah, I don't know why I thought I had more to say to that. Okay, we'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Joe. And we are back. You know, one of the great things about podcasting is that you guys don't get to see the behind the scenes. We had a couple of technical difficulties during the break, and we literally had to get everything up and rolling again. So, yeah.
It wouldn't be our show without it.
No, it would not. Like, there's always something that goes wrong. Always goes wrong. It's like these serial killer cases, you know. They go out, they kill, they think they're doing good, and then, bam, a mess up. And then they get caught up. So, in a way, we're keeping to the theme of the show.
Exactly.
So, yes. You know what? Thank you. Thank you for letting me see that in a positive light. Because I'm
There we
really
go.
kicking myself. So,
There's always a positive in there somewhere.
yes.
And I mean, honestly, like when we get big, we're just going to have to start doing little weird things just to throw everybody off.
Yes. Now, this whole little thing we just did right here about how we had the bad thing that happened and then we put into the serial killers happening, you guys should go check out Code 187's TikTok, okay? Because Sarah, what we just did there, Sarah's been doing that where she'll take a situation and she'll be like, you know, bad things happen because of X, Y, Z and la, 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 la. She'll be like, then you need to be like Ted Bundy, you know, how he did something like that. And then it's funny. It's funny because it sounds, at the beginning, it sounds so inspirational. And then she says something about one of the serial killers. You'd be like, hold on. What did she say? So go check out Code 187 on TikTok if you have not yet, because we have great videos there. So back onto the case with Scott, Greg, and what's the wife's name?
Yarmila?
Yamala. So,
Yarmila, yeah.
yeah, if that's what you say, that's what I'm going to say. So, all right.
Yes, that is how you say it
Okay.
because I checked.
Okay. All right. So let's go back.
Yeah. Okay, so he got such a suspicious face.
I ended on it, and I felt like I had to commit. So.
Well, this case, it's one of those cases like Kendrick Johnson, you could be in the middle.
Yes.
This case, you either believe he did it with intent or you believe he did not.
Yes.
And I feel like there's not really a gray area.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, back to the case. All right, so after all of this, police asked Scott to tell them what he remembers leading up to his arrest. And this is what he said. The night before, on January 16th, 1997, Scott said that he and his wife woke up around 3 a.m. to what sounded like someone walking on the gravel outside of their bedroom window. Scott said he got out of bed and looked around the home, but didn't see anything. So he went back to bed, but he said that he had not a great sleep that night because he was worried. You know, you're worried about your family.
Yep.
He just didn't sleep good. So the following day, Scott worked a full day at his job for Motorola, and then he came home to have dinner with his wife and his 2 kids.
Yep.
After dinner, Scott, who taught a daily early morning religious education class, that's a lot to say, before work, said that he prepared a lesson and he planned to give it the next day.
Yes.
So he's writing his lesson. So Scott said that his wife had asked him to fix their pool filter at about 9 p.m. that night. He said he went out to the pool in the backyard and he tried to fix it, but because it was late and dark, he gave up. When he came back inside, he said his wife was asleep on the couch, so he kissed her goodnight, promised to fix the pool filter the following day, and then went to bed. Now, this is a direct quote. He said, "I was really exhausted and crashed in bed. I would guess that it was between 9:30 and 10 p.m. So that's the exact quote that he said. The next thing he said is that he remembers standing at the top of the stairs in his pajamas as police officers with their guns drawn yelled at him to keep his hands visible and get on the floor. So he is now saying, all right, I was really exhausted and I went to sleep. Don't remember anything except for you woke me up and I was on the stairs.
Yes. So remember when we were talking about earlier how in your dreams it's based off of what you see in real life. So the drowning connection, well, she didn't drown. That's what I was thinking. Like the drowning connection there where
the pool filter.
Yeah, that was something that's mine. But I was trying to figure out if you were going to say something like maybe it had irked him that she asked him that or something, or something happened, that, that he came late. When he came home that night, that's when she asked him to do it. See,
yeah.
I already know what happened, See,
I'm not going to fix the pool filter, woman.
Yeah, I just got home from the Bible study class. I'm ready to eat and go to bed. And you over here telling me, go fix the pool filter. So then he had that little nudge in his head, like the little irritation. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to go fix it. And then it wasn't working, right? So then you got a little more frustration. And you're like, I'm going to fix it tomorrow. And then you kiss her goodnight. And then it just seeps into your what's that subconscious, and then next thing you know, there it is. You know?
I mean, that's definitely true. I think just those little things in a marriage where you're just like, woman or whatever you are, stop it, you know?
Well, I even heard like a lot of big things really don't mess up a marriage. It's the little stuff, where you just got stuff pinned down so much and then it just explodes one day. So I don't know. I don't know.
And I think that sleep is the weirdest thing in the world.
Oh yeah.
I know it's normal. I know we all do it, but isn't just the concept of like we all collectively like are there but not there?
Hmm. Oh yeah. And one thing I was thinking about one time is like just listening to a lot of these murders and things like that, how vulnerable you are when you're sleeping.
Yes,
Like,
defenseless.
yeah, it's one of those things where like I go downstairs, I lock my doors, and then I'm just laying in this bed, just like, come get me, kind of a
Yeah.
girl. And it's just crazy. And then the fact that your brain is so complex, that it can make your body move involuntarily. And you can do things and not know that you're doing them.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I'm probably going to pee in my closet tonight because it's going to be one of those things my body's going to be like, we were talking about sleepwalking and, blah, blah, blah. And then my wife's going to be like, Joe, what in the world? I'm like, we was talking about it in the podcast. Listen to it. Listen to it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry.
She's gonna be like, you gotta stop. That's the end of the podcast.
Yep. I'll be like, ladies and gentlemen, this is my last time on the show, signing off. We'll find a new host here or a new buddy. So, yeah, our brains are crazy. It's really crazy, especially when you hear all these cases with just schizophrenia and all these mental diseases that these killers go through. And I really feel bad. Now, did they charge him with anything?
So we're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're gonna get to his defense, all of that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Right. As a jury member, you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, because on last week we talked about Angel and how no, that's
That was way back when.
yeah, way
but
back
yeah.
when. So that case we talked about Angel, it was one of those things where it was like we knew that Mario and the other people, we were like, they need to go to jail. This guy has a chance of sleepwalking and actually murdering. And even though murder's a bad thing, can you really convict him if he didn't know he was doing it?
Right. And that comes down to like intent. Like, do you have the intent to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, if you're sleeping and you're dreaming about killing your wife, is that intent?
Yeah.
When she pisses you off and you're like, just leave, woman, is that intent? Like, there's so much gray area when it comes to cases like this. And like I said before, it's like black and white, but yet like it's very, I don't know, everybody has a different opinion.
Yeah, and how do you prove something like that,
You can't. Like a jury has to prove 100% without a doubt that they did it. And it's like, I don't think I could.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with the, even if you get like the lie detector, it's one of those things where he could believe he's telling the truth. And then, man, let's just say, I would hate to be one of the jurors at this trial, because this would suck. Because you're like, okay, he might be asleep. So in a way, he's innocent, but he's actually pretty guilty because he did kill her, but he was asleep. What do we do? Like, they probably spent years and years in court.
Yeah, I mean, the court case is interesting, but we will definitely get there.
Okay.
So when the police officers arrive, they saw Scott moving around upstairs. So they checked on the victim, of course, but they could tell she was already gone.
Yes.
When police went inside to confront Scott, they asked him who else is in the house. Scott told them my wife and my 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 children didn't hear anything
Yeah.
at all. The police pointed out that Scott had blood on his neck. He said he didn't know how it got there.
Mm-hmm.
Scott was arrested and charged with first-degree murder of his wife's death. Now, a trial,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure everybody is like, get to the trial. What happened?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It began in June 1999. This was a trial and a case that was super historic.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecution said that Scott murdered his wife, and that was it. Done deal, put him away.
Yep.
The defense said he was sleepwalking and had no control over what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the defense. There were many parts to their case.
Mm-hmm.
First, that Scott was a known sleepwalker. This was the big, like, this is what they thought was the smoking gun. Scott's mother and sister said that they remembered he used to sleepwalk.
Mm-hmm.
They said it happened when he was under a lot of stress, whether it was school or in youth or later when he was planning his wedding,
Mm-hmm.
working full time, like something that would cause stress, which that would happen with me.
Yeah.
Like my mom said every first day of school that night before I would sleepwalk. And I was bad. I actually like went outside.
Yeah.
And they had to put bells on the doors.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've heard people cook a whole 8-course meal, you know, and then be like, man, I'm so tired. I don't know.
Right. You're tired because you're sleeping, but also cooking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's this huge 2020 episode about this case. And I got a lot of my sources from that. But his mother said to 2020 that there were several times he came down the stairs, like fully dressed, walked in the living room ready for school, but it was like midnight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then one time he came down the stairs and he was probably like 15 or 16, and he was like completely naked.
Yep.
The next day you'd ask him about it and he would say, I don't know. I don't remember doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Scott's sister, Laura, told 2020 that there was one time, and he was about like 20 years old, that she encountered him sleepwalking in his kitchen, headed for the back door. When she moved to try to stop him from going outside, she said that he grabbed me by the shoulders and just tossed me.
Mm-hmm.
He looked so angry, he was almost demonic.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen him look like that ever. So this was the defense's like big thing, is he's done this. And I remember hearing like, don't wake a sleepwalker.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know like the big science behind that, but they always said like if they're in the middle of a sleepwalking thing that they could react badly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the defense was like, maybe this is what happened.
Yes.
But he says he doesn't remember any of these instances and he does not remember that night at all.
Mm-hmm.
They sent him to a sleep disorder research center where they tested his brain for a 4-day period and found abnormalities consisted with those of sleepwalkers.
Okay.
So he wasn't lying
about
sleepwalking. He was a sleepwalker.
Okay.
He had interruptions in the phases of sleep right before the dreaming stage,
Okay.
which is typical of sleepwalkers.
Okay.
So right before you get into a dreaming state is when a lot of your sleepwalking happens.
Okay.
Which, when I was researching about my daughter, because she has night terrors, it is like that. Like she's almost, I'm like, okay, she's asleep, she's fine. We walk out of the room and it's like she does it again.
Yeah.
Like she's not fully asleep yet.
Yep.
And that's when it happens.
Yes. I was just thinking, it all makes sense, doesn't it? Does it all make sense to you, this cold case now? Like from the stories and things they were telling me? So this is just what I think. I don't know if you guys have put this together, but our whole pool idea, you know, that little bug, you know, his wife asked him put the pool, change the pool filter, right? Guy goes, falls asleep, right? He's walking downstairs. Maybe he's going to go change the pool filter while he's sleeping. His wife sees this and it's like, oh, he's having another one of his sleepwalking things. She tries to stop him. He attacks her. And because he was going to the pool anyway, he throws her in the pool. Like,
I mean, yeah. And that's completely what this defense and these professional, like these sleep professionals, this
Yeah.
is what they are saying as well. That's what happened.
yeah.
And the psychologist testified for the defense and told forensic files that sleepwalkers have committed such senseless acts as destroying their own furniture, plunging their own arms through glass,
Yep.
just weird things. And her theory was that Scott, while walking, was working on the malfunctioning swimming pool pump.
Mm-hmm.
When Yarmila walked over to question him about it, his fight or flight impulse kicked in and he attacked her.
Yeah.
Why he did feel like threatened by his own wife, sleepwalkers are incapable of facial recognition during episodes. Scott mistook Yarmila for an attacker. This is what the psychologist believes. Scott never once said to this day that he didn't kill his wife, just that he didn't remember doing it.
Yep.
And he did not want to intentionally kill her.
Yep.
So there's a lot of interviews of Scott, and he constantly says, like, yeah, I killed her, but I don't remember doing it. Like, he knows there's enough evidence.
Yep.
He just doesn't know why he did it or that he did it.
I will tell you, I don't even think it's Scott's fault. I think it's Greg's fault for not stopping it in time.
Ooh, look at you.
That's what I
Do you think that he should have, that Greg, the neighbor, should have had any, like, charges brought against him?
Yeah.
Because there's the bystander effect and, like, you know, do you step in a situation?
Because that's what I was just thinking. I mean, but then we deal with, so like when you deal, I don't know how people used to work back then, because did we still have that thing where it was like, oh, this is a husband and wife having a fight. This is their issue, but I'm going to still snoop, you know? I mean, but still, if you see that she's being beaten brutal, well, you know the word I'm trying to say.
Brutally.
Yeah. If she's being beaten that bad, you need to stop in and say, hey, Scott, man, maybe you need to stop, you know? And then just watch her go into the pool. They even try to pull her out of the pool, you know? Like,
right.
Did you just let her float and then wait for the cops to get there, you know? Just saying.
So I don't know if I have this written later in my notes. I don't remember. But what's interesting to me about this defense was I can buy a lot of it. But then you have him changing, showering, or whatever he did. I guess he just changed. Yeah. Hiding the weapon, getting the weapon. Like, if he's out at the pool, why does he have a knife? You know, like, those things are fishy to me. But as a sleepwalker, and as the research shows, it's not predictable.
Sarah, you didn't tell us any of this. Did you
What?
Did you say that about the knife being stuff hidden? And I was just in my brain.
Yes. So at the very beginning.
Okay, I was in my brain. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's recap because that's important.
I missed that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So Greg was watching him, remember? And he put his clothes and the knife in a Tupperware and put it in the wheel well of the car I can't pronounce.
Yeah. See, okay, I will tell people. When we start the show, my brain's not like in full.
He's not in detective mode yet.
Yeah. So, like, the first couple of things, it'll just be like, she'll say something. I'm like, okay, yeah, yep. And then it'll be like, bam.
Yeah. So that's the things that get me is like, how did he get a knife out of the pool? Like, he had to have gotten a knife,
Yep.
gone to the pool. Like, how did Yarmila wake him up when he was inside, when he was outside, when he was, like, I just don't know. Those are the things that I'm like, does that prove intent that he's trying to hide it too?
Yeah.
Is he trying to, like, his whole story, right?
Yeah.
Because he said there was an intruder the night before, around his home. Is he trying to place blame?
Yes.
On someone else?
I mean, or maybe.
Was he gonna just say like, "Oh, someone else killed her"?
Or it was gonna be one of those things where it was like maybe his subconscious knew that somebody had tried to break in last night, and while he was gonna change the pool, he needed protection.
I mean, true. You're making a lot of excuses for the guy, but it's true. I mean, yeah.
Well, we just have to take everything and try to see. That's the crazy thing about these things. It's just you don't know what happened. But here's okay. But then we always have to do this. If you gotta think, this is a pretty good plan right here. Like. You have a history of sleepwalking. You come up with the thing that, there was an intruder. So now when you go out to fix the pool filter, you can say, I was worried about that somebody else was coming to get me. What the heck is going on? I don't want to hit that button again. But yeah, sorry, something popped up on the screen. But yeah. This would be a great plan. And he's walking free today, right?
We don't know yet. I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. See,
I'm getting there.
This is my thing. This is the hard part about all this because my mouth just starts running, and then you're not where we're supposed to be at. Okay, Sarah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Because I wrote this as the defense, the prosecution, and then the conviction. Okay. So we're getting there.
Listen, I'm not gonna say any more.
No, you're fine. So the prosecution said a lot of the things that I brought up or that we brought up. One of the things they said was, why didn't Yarmila's screams and the dog barking, like, why didn't that wake him up? Why did the police wake him up, but him murdering her and her screaming and all of that didn't? Which is odd, but I mean, what's interesting about this case is, like, nothing makes sense because in a sleepwalker's brain, like, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So they pointed out the concealing of evidence. They said that they believe Scott planned to kill Yarmila, go back to bed, and have his children find her body the next morning, and believe that a stranger murdered her, which is a lot.
Now, because my thing sorry, I said I was going to shut up, but you said earlier that he had blood on his neck, right? And I kind of pictured it as, like, if you're sleepwalking, you wouldn't clean up anything, so I was picturing just, like, blood, on there, and then...
I think it was smears. I mean, I don't think it was, like, it looked like, he was bleeding. Yeah. But you could definitely tell there was something there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
So they had tried to attack the marriage by saying that Yarmila wasn't wearing her wedding ring when the police found her body. Which to me was like, you're stretching. Yeah. Because I don't wear a wedding ring all that much. It was night. Maybe she was asleep. Like, that's not an indicator of a bad marriage.
Yeah, sometimes my wife doesn't wear her wedding ring to bed because it'll cut, with her moving and stuff. So
snag on things. Like, when a girl gets a wedding ring, she's like, I do not want anything to happen to
Yeah, it's because my wedding ring, I wear it 24/7, and then I'm like, babe, why you take your wedding ring off while you're washing dishes? I don't want it to get messy. Put the ring back on, please. You know,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money on that ring, but yeah,
And that's the thing. You spent so much. That's me. Is
yeah,
I'm cheap. I
hmm
will admit it every day, all day. You spent so much money on this. If I lose it, I will hate myself for the rest of my life.
yeah. Like my ring is like 100. No, but this one was like $50. Hers was a lot. Um,
Right. So that's not an indication of a bad marriage.
no, it's not.
Maybe she just didn't wear it.
Hmm
Um, so they also pointed out that maybe Scott knew this excuse was made before.
hmm
So maybe Scott knew about the 1987 case of a Canadian man named Ken Parks who was acquitted of killing his mother in law because he claimed he did it unintentionally while sleepwalking.
Huh.
So maybe Scott planned to use this defense as a backup plan in
hmm
case the ploy failed. The Canadian case was pretty crazy too. Like he drove
Uh-huh.
to kill his in laws and then said he was sleepwalking and they still acquitted him.
Tell me this man drove a long way. Our justice system. Hmm
Our justice is like,
Like,
nope.
yeah, yeah.
But Canada's like, sure,
yeah,
whatever.
it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get
Jeez.
some fries and gravy, eh?
Yeah. I forget what that's called. It sounds good. Okay, stay on track. Stay on track.
All right. So here's where we get to it.
Okay.
A jury convicted Scott of first degree murder
Mm-hmm.
and he was sentenced in 2000, the year 2000,
Uh-huh.
to life in prison. They wanted to go for the death penalty, but his children and his family fought really hard for him to be saved.
Yes.
So today, Scott Falater is an inmate at the Arizona Department of Corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from one incident in 2004 when he disobeyed an order,
Mm-hmm.
Scott has been fine in prison. He works his assignments, including he's like a teacher's aide.
Yep.
Like he works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one person who was an online like Reddit person
Mm-hmm.
said, I hope he's sleeping in an individual cell for everyone's sake. And I was like, yeah.
I think that's the best life for him. I think okay, yeah, I think that's the best life for him. Just life in prison for the rest of his life because nobody knows. Nobody knows.
But if he really didn't know, how sad is that?
Mm-hmm.
That his kids grew up and probably had kids,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in prison for killing his wife, which in prison, if they believe he did it, he's not having a good time.
Yeah. And I mean, and then you've got to think about too, you're suffering the loss of your significant other too, you know? So,
Yep.
man, if it's true, this guy's life has just gone downhill real fast. Um, but then, like we said, you've got to think about that other side. He might have done it, and he might not have been asleep. So you've got to keep him in prison. So I understand where they're coming from. The jury, why in this case they want to kill somebody real quick, but we talk about other cases and they're like, oh no, we'll just get him acquitted, even though there's just tons of evidence. This case we don't have that. Nobody knows what's going on, but they want to kill a man. But
Right.
other cases we've got, blood. You were there at the crime. The cops caught you red-handed. But no, you're going to get life in prison. No death penalties mentioned or anything. That pisses me off.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I don't know Arizona's stance on the death penalty.
Mhm.
Like, I know that Missouri comes down hard. I know
yeah.
that Kansas, they have a pretty, yeah, they just don't, they wait too long.
Yeah. I
But
know
yeah,
Illinois goes back and forth. They're like lethal injection, no lethal injection. They go back and forth. I think right now they're at this point where it's like life in prison. So, you know, I don't know. So it's
so listeners, what do you think?
yeah. What do you
I
guys
want to
think?
know.
Yeah. Like, cause we're just over here. You don't heard me run my mouth too much about my theories. I want to know what you guys think about this, cause this is. Listen, I don't know, Sarah. I don't know where you be finding all these cases. I don't know why. If you guys are watching the video, I was getting ready to do something like this because she's on that side. But I don't know where she finds these cases, but they're really, really good. They make you think. They're make me feel like a detective, and I hope they make you feel like a detective too. So join our group and help us figure this out, man. Help us figure this out. So
That is the case, and it's crazy, of the Sleepwalking Killer.
we'll see you guys next week on Code 187.
So good.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like any of the content for Code 187, please click that subscribe button, that like button, that share button. Help us out, help us grow. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Yeah, check us out on there. Give us some ratings. Tell us what you think. We're also across every social media on Code 187. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think that's it. And of course, YouTube. So please, please, please subscribe if you like our content and spread the word. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.